Hello, my name is Richard Owens and I'm an injured worker. And what this presentation is about, it's covering off some of the obstacles that I faced and injured workers face with W.S.I.B. But prior to starting the presentation, what I'd like to do is thank Sarah Cicelli from Windsor Star, who on my behalf, on behalf of the published work, on behalf of the injured workers, published an article on Thursday, June 10th. On September 1st, 1996, I became an unfunded liability. As offensive as that sounds, that will be the tag name all past, present, and future injured workers will wear. Although when you enter into WSIB waters, they'll not call you this directly. But make no mistake about it, an injured worker is perceived as a liability, and more importantly, a threat, especially to the salaries of bureaucrats. Now, there has always been an inherent built-in conflict of interest in having WSIB administer policy, benefits and policies for injured workers, but things are about to get dramatically worse. With the passing of Bill 135 Helping Ontario Families and Managing Accountability Act, injured workers who have been fed scraps from the plate will now be asked to portion out those scraps. It's obvious that the CEO's opening statement for 2010 and through the actions of WSIB that they feel the bureaucrats in the system are not the problem. The workers are the problem, or rather the UFL, the unfunded liability. What did I do to deserve the prestigious title of UFL? While store manager, I got shot and assaulted in a vicious armed robbery attempt on September 1st, 1996 at the Kmart in Windsor. The battle with my assailant lasted less than a half an hour, but my battle with WSIB has been going on for 16 plus years. During those 16 years, I have kept a low profile. Having moved my family from the city the assault occurred prior to the release from prison from my assailant. Going public now carries a certain risk and anxiety for my family, but I'm left with no choice. My presentation will be in three parts. The first part will involve the injuries I sustained in my experiences with WSIB. The second part will be observations and suggestions and some tips for the injured worker. And at last, there will be a conclusion at the end of the presentation. Who should listen and who will benefit? The challenge always is, unless you are a victim of a crime, it is difficult to empathize with those victims. And unless you are an injured worker, it's difficult to empathize with that injured worker or the bureaucratic abuse he or she will be subjected to. But everyone in Ontario should be listening. Last year, there were 240,220 number of new claims over by injured workers. In the next few years, either you or someone you work with will become an injured worker, and that is a mathematical certainty. Here's the absolute horrific news for the injured worker. In 2010, a statement by the CEO of WSIB thought staffing levels for WSIB were brought to adequate levels. In 2010, there was a 23% reduction of claims over the 2008 period, but salaries for WSIB were brought up from 2009 by 11%. In 2010 alone, there were 350 WSIB bureaucrats on the sunshine list of wages over $100,000, with the average salary of those folks being a little south of $130,000. What was the results of having more bureaucrats and higher paid bureaucrats on WSIB? WSIB denied almost 50% of claims last year and reduced permanent impairment awards by 31%. In other words, more folks, higher paid folks, to say no. As a working person, how is your confidence going to work tomorrow knowing that if you get injured, you have a 50-50 shot at either getting support or compensation for your injuries?